Hey, beautiful tribe. I hope you're having a great day today. I know the energy's heavy. The energy that's flowing and lingering seems to have this very sad and somber tone to it, not just especially here in the United States of America, but all over the place. This has a lot to do with the eclipse energies. The eclipse energies, the cycle that we're in right now, and going back to past predictions, many of the things I warned that we would be seeing in the month of September. And sadly, one of those things that played out right here in the United States of America was the assassination of Charlie Kirk at a speech in Utah at a university. Very sad indeed. Today we're going to talk about that, how that aligns with past predictions, along with all these new things that are coming our way. Still, the month, we're only on the 11th day of the month. Again, also a somber date, honoring the 24th year anniversary of 9/11. Now, also yesterday at the same time on 9/10, there was a Pow Pow event that happened in Colorado at a school, of course. Then we had up there in Canada a tragic accident where a man drove into a daycare center. So the energies are heavy, they're somber, they're a bit sad. But it does lead to good in the outcome of it all. But right now, this is a big pinpoint time in getting people's attention, getting people's focus. So again, we're going to talk about all that today, along with answering lots of questions from the chat room and, of course, new predictions. So hang on tight. This is a Tea Time Predictions Update. Welcome back, beautiful friends, beautiful tribe. Again, I hope you're having a great day. And I know perhaps you are not. Maybe you're feeling these intense, heavy energies. That is why it is so important to get outside, friends, and do some meditation, connect with the earth, unplug from the media, because it's all over the media. They're very, very sad. And I bet you it's all over the media across the globe, not just here in the United States. But the sad and disgraceful assassination of a young man, Charlie Kirk, who is seen as a political speaker, this is just ridiculous, friends. It's unbelievable, but believable at the same time. This is how I guess we get people's attention. And now, there's those online that are celebrating this. Shame on you. Shame on you for celebrating anybody's passing and bringing your political views into it. This was a young 31-year-old man who had his whole life ahead of him. 1-year-old son, 3-year-old daughter, beautiful young wife, and believing in his heart and soul that he was doing something positive. Maybe people didn't view it as that, but people don't view everything as positive. There's always going to be naysayers. There's always going to be people that want to bring you down. And no coincidence, just recently, somebody asked him this question. I thought this was a bit heartbreaking. Check this out.
Associated with one thing, how would you want to be remembered? I want to be remembered for courage for my faith. That would be the most important thing is my faith.
Being asked how he would be remembered. Amazing. And just recently, about a month ago, he was on the Tucker Carlson. That's probably the most recent long interview with him. Someone pointed that out to me. And I only listened to some of it because I have a very busy schedule. And I find it interesting that he was calling out many different things in that video, including the 3-letter agencies, a lot of other things in that video. So could Tucker Carlson be next on the list? Because if anybody thinks, and prayers go out to the whole Kirk family and his poor little children who are going to grow up and they're so young they're not going to even get to really remember their father very much. But I'm sure he'll be honored in many, many ways. His funeral will be likely off the charts with attendance and everything. It'll be off the charts. Now, the other thing here is, of course, they're still looking for the alleged shooter. And by now, or saw video that there was somebody on the roof. They arrested that little old man, who I think was just a diversion to put people's attention over there, to give the other person time to get out of there and escape. Nobody looked at the roof except for some bystanders who actually noticed something on the roof. What's interesting? Didn't we see that same thing play out on July 13th of last year, people spotted somebody on the roof, but nobody did anything. And then the now president was, shot at and attempted to be taken out, clipped in the ear by the same group of people, I assure you, all related. Another thing to point out here is when Charlie was at Utah University yesterday giving his speech, he was actually on the topic of all the mass pow-pow events that are happening in the United States and how many of them, which is really crazy if you look at the list, were, brought about by folks that are transgender. And that's just a fact. No attack. I have friends that are transgender. But it's just a fact. Or they, thems. Why is that? That's what he was talking about, and that's what he was speaking about when that shot was fired. And that was a professional shot, friends. You don't shoot from that distance. And again, with President Trump, you don't shoot from that distance if you are not a professional. That kid that was July 13th, that was, he was just a pawn. We all know that. And we still haven't heard anything about that. And the involvement of that and all the links to that, they made that disappear really, really quickly. They're going to probably do the same thing in this situation with Charlie. Make it all disappear very quickly. Will it be another trans person that's accused of this? Is that going to be what they're going to put out to you? Because I'm not getting the vibe that that's who it was. But will they put that out to us? Again, this is all part of a diversion from the cabal or whoever you want to refer to them as. Not just a diversion to take your eyes off the world stage and the edge of World War III that's happening around the globe right now. To take your eyes off the Epstein files. Take your eyes off of everything, But it's also, more than anything, a way of causing division amongst us, the people. Causing more division amongst Americans. To make people despise one another. Because for anybody to pull off such an event, it had to be so very well orchestrated, just like July 13th. Very well orchestrated. Extremely very well orchestrated. And this has a lot to do with somebody being paid to do a job, without a doubt. And even just recently, I just said recently in my, last week, a week ago, I talked about this month of September and that there would be a shocking assassination that would take place. I'd say this one's quite shocking. Very shocking. I also stated, I saw somebody on a high roof shooting down. Well, we know that this person was on the roof. At least I know that. Most of you people here are intuitive. If not, well, we're all intuitive. But being you're coming here, you're likely more intuitive than the average person. Tap into your intuition. What's it telling you? Yeah, very well orchestrated. Not necessarily a 3-digit agency from this country either. Maybe from another. They want to bring more political division, which is really sad, too, because just at the House of Representatives yesterday, when they heard about the passing of Kirk, Charlie, they asked one of the, Republicans, I would suppose, asked for a moment of silence and a prayer. And in that moment of silence, of course, half the House couldn't keep their mouths shut and caused a whole ruckus through the whole House of Representatives. A total embarrassment for the United States of America. Trying to take a moment of silence for somebody that was murdered under political terms, political reasons, and the House can't come together for 10 seconds of a moment of silence. Shame on you, representatives. These are the people we voted for. And friends, as I talked about just recently and in the Freddie Puma interview yesterday, leaderships are shifting and changing, and they need to. And it's these people we voted in that are causing even more division. I think more Americans are united than the actual House of Representatives is united, sadly. Now, this is, I also talked about universities. I talked about big protests at universities coming. Huge protests. I can see how now this is going to lead into that big time. I saw clashes at universities with riot police and gear in my visions. I also talked about a pow-pow event happening at a college university. Now, I'm not saying that I said this whole thing with Charlie, but it all kind of links together. And this is what I just said just last week.
An eclipse in Pisces. So this would make September even more likely being a month where we would see a large tsunami event that would take place, perhaps even several. Now, this includes right here in the United States as well, where I feel that we are sadly going to witness several pow-pow events. One that feels quite large to me, kind of makes me think slightly of the Vegas pow-pow event, which was in my predictions that year. I saw somebody from the rooftops shooting down. I forget what year that was. It's not important now, but that pops in my mind. So I don't know if that pops in my mind because it's going to be a large event like that, maybe even similar to somebody shooting from high above, or if it even could be music festival related. Sometimes when spirit makes me think of past things, past events, there's some kind of relation or correlation to it. Or could it just be a pow-pow event that happens in Las Vegas? Hopefully none of it happens. We'll keep.
Yes. Assassinations were in that 99 vibration. Not even to mention that, we also had the 99 portal that opened up, right? The 99 portal that opened up. And then 910, we had this happen. And again, another pow-pow in Colorado. Just tragic events taking place. Now today's 9/11. Wouldn't surprise me. This was a date that I pointed out on the calendar. Wouldn't surprise me that something else goes on today. Hopefully not. And again, prayers to the Kirk family because it's so sad and tragic. No matter what side of the fence you're on. I'm in the middle, independent personally, because just the political system needs to collapse, friends. It's just complete division, complete hatred amongst one side and the other side. And now they're using this as a tactic against us with the media, and this is what they do, friends. They use them as tactics against us in order to cause more of a divide. That's why I have no doubt that this was paid for and very well orchestrated. And I think, wasn't this his first stop on his little tour? God, I don't follow him. I don't follow that kind of stuff. Like I said, I stay in the middle. I'll listen if it pops up on my feed as a short or something. And you know, another thing that was interesting is it was trending when he was shot on X. And then soon after, it stopped trending on X, as if they took the trend away. Because it's still trending, so you can't take the trend away. It didn't just stop trending. So, and Charlie Kirk getting shot. Again, friends, it's not just politics. It's a ritual. It's a ceremony by these deep, dark, evil people. And this is happening again days after the blood moon eclipse. And the sign of Pisces, by the way. Just before today, 9/11, and commemorating that anniversary of that horrific event, during eclipse season, and during eclipse season, whenever blood spills, remember blood moon, it's never random, friends. It's never random. It's very symbolic, especially to these globalist people. These dark, dark people. They exist, whether you want to believe it or not. And Saturn's also retrograde with the sign of Pisces, which is actually calling for this karmic lessons. Perfect energy harvesting is what this is. Perfect harvesting of energy. And this happened again the day after the 999 portal. And what I say in my video that I just showed you, that this month would be a month of people falling. Leaders, inspirational people, church people, what have you. What did I just read here? I think I have this in my notes here. About a church. Someone posted it on here. A church attack in France. Church attack in France. And I just recently told you about attacks on churches, especially Christianity. So it's an attack on religion. It's an attack on inspirational speakers because Charlie Kirk, again, whether you liked him or not, he was an inspirational speaker. And many people loved him and many people did not. But that's what happens when you're in the public eye. There's people that love you and there's people that do not. And those that do not, that's their vibration. Likely lower than the other person's vibration. Got to get out of that low vibration. A statue of the Virgin Mary was set afire at a French church, sparking anger. This reportedly was discovered on Tuesday. This must have been last week, of course. Or no, it could have been this past Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday. Today's Thursday. I keep thinking it's Tuesday because I'm filming for some tea time. And I got my tea over here, by the way. Of course I do. This incident happened on Monday evening. While arson is suspected, the investigation is still ongoing. This happened in France, where I said that I saw churches in France specifically on fire. Now, that fire seemed to be put out pretty quickly and everything's good, but it was put out quickly. And that just came to my mind with these attacks on people and attacks on religion and attacks on church. So again, going back to this whole Charlie Kirk thing, sadly, it's not about him himself. This, again, is symbolic for the media. It's symbolic for turning it all into that blood moon energy for themselves. I know it sounds bizarre, but there's some heavy magic going on behind the scenes. I'm talking magic, ancient ceremonies. Using people's responses is a simple way of harvesting that energy. Focusing on such a way that the globalists are going to continue their little, agenda and putting out fear and influence and power. That's what it's about for them. Fear, influence, and power. And they're pretty powerful. They made things happen. Now, I feel like this was orchestrated, of course, inside the country. But I feel like also outside in some way or another. And I feel that this isn't going to be the only one. Remember, it's only September 11th, friends, and I talked about many people being taken down and even assassinated. Someone reminded me in the comments that I had a vision of somebody outside speaking. This must go back quite a few months ago, but I had a vision of somebody outside speaking at a podium or speaking, and someone on a high roof shooting down at that person. That would make sense to what happened with Charlie Kirk. If anybody knows the timestamp of that video, please do leave it below in the comments down below. And hey, if you're new here, my name is Joseph Tittel, by the way, a.k.a. Spiritman JT, spiritual medium for over 3 decades, doing predictions and prophecy and all kinds of good stuff. And if you want to vibe with this good tribe, be sure to smash that subscribe, the bell, and all, friends. Be a part of this awesome tribe. And don't forget to hit that thumbs up love button. Overall, this was no doubt an assassination, of course. No doubt. As predicted as past assassinations. We're in that 9-9 energy. And we're in the 9-9 portal that opened on the 9th. Which, again, there's that midpoint of that on the 18th of the month. And then the 27th of the month comes to a close. And now through the 27th, I would expect to see more things like this taking place. And more problems at universities, because that's a big part of the focus with some of the transits that are happening and that are in place. The education system. So universities are going to be a big focus, especially now with all of this. I also see clashes with people. So sad. People are just awful. Some people. Not all people. Some people. I see clashes with people celebrating or honoring, memorializing Charlie Kirk and people on the outside clashing with that. So I don't know if this is at a university or somewhere else, but it's like almost like the paid protesters going in to break up the memorial. I don't think this is necessarily his funeral, but some other thing, maybe again at a university, I would imagine. I would also imagine many universities doing candlelight residuals all across this country and other countries. I don't know why Oxford just came into my mind. I know that's not in the United States, but Oxford just came into my mind. Oxford University. So something big's happening at Oxford. Chaos, perhaps fires, and perhaps some other kind of, I would think more of a stabbing event than pow, but Oxford came to my mind. And if you've been watching me long enough, when things randomly come at me like that, they usually happen pretty soon after. So hopefully we hold light over Oxford. We don't want to see anything tragic happen anywhere at all. But speaking of that whole United Kingdom and England, I just see so much chaos there and problems with their universities. And universities having to close down temporarily, especially clean up the aftermath of the messes. Interesting times that we're in, friends. Crazy times. So anyway, going back to this whole thing, no doubt it was a trained assassin put into place. Probably related to the same group, is my feeling, around the whole July 13th thing that happened last year in Pennsylvania. I saw the FBI already put a picture out of somebody. And actually, if you look at the picture, now again, they can make anything appear the way they want it. That person kind of looks right up at the camera in the picture, like, oops, there's a camera there. Oh, there's a person there. I didn't notice that till now. Oh, they're looking at the person on, I guess, the stairway. But that person kind of looks like somebody that may have just done something that they shouldn't have been doing. I also feel like there's not one just person, maybe one shooter. But I felt this at the whole Trump rally in July of last year, which I predicted before it happened. I saw him being hit in the right side. I thought it'd be his right shoulder, but it was his right ear. As I said there were multiple pow-pows. There were at least 3 shooters at the Trump rally. One was the pawn, the guinea pig that they took out so that they couldn't speak, that was likely manipulated with the CIA's, I showed you the patents for it, the technology they have. They can get into your head and say all kinds of things. It's creepy. It's so creepy to me. So maybe now's a good time to find that tinfoil hat, right? I'm just kidding. But yeah, there were 3 at that. 2 were the professionals making sure it got done. And it didn't get done, thankfully. Because we don't want to see that happen. That would just cause more political upheaval. With this person, Charlie Kirk, I feel like there is 2. And I feel like there's a pawn because I'm seeing a chessboard. And then I see a vision of a pawn shop. So there's definitely a pawn coming. And if they're showing me a chessboard, I guess it's like playing, checkmate. Interesting. But yeah, again, from that distance to that person, I've heard people say, I could practice on a range for 2 days and make that shot. Yeah, but when you're put in the spot, they want somebody that's going to ensure that they make that shot and not mess up like they did back in 2024 in Pennsylvania because they screwed that one up. Somebody got in trouble. They're probably not even around anymore. They probably took them out too. Because I would imagine, if you were being hired to do something like this, it wouldn't be too smart for you to take that position because they're likely going to eliminate you too afterwards. Just a thought. So is that what's going to happen? Because that thought just popped in my mind. I want to bring up some of the questions here. But yeah, what a sad, sad time, friends. And that's this whole energy that we're in, unfortunately. But remember, things are going to come into light. That's what the eclipse is all about. Stepping from the light into the darkness and being reborn again after. And that rebirth comes on the 27th of the month. Come to think of it, isn't it the 27th? I got to look. I have so many dates in my brain. 27th? No. The 21st. My apologies. The day before, I knew that. Day before my birthday. Is the solar eclipse. That's when we step back into the light. So right now we're sinking into the darkness. We're in that waning moon. And then when that new moon comes on the 21st, that is, which actually the time that comes in, on the 21st, is at 12:54 p.m. here in Arizona, 3:54 p.m. in East Coast of the United States. But that's when we step into the light. So I would expect a lot of things to become exposed once we get past that equinox weekend. That's going to be intense too. I got some plans for that weekend. I think I'm going to take a ride up to Hopi Land actually. And then on this 22nd, of course, I'll be in ceremonies. Lots of ceremonies, birthday ceremonies, equinox ceremonies, lots going on there. So yeah, panic in the French church as the statue of the Virgin Mary was set afire at Mass in an arson attack. During a Mass on top of that, that is just insane. What is happening to our planet? Not the planet, the people. What is happening to the people, friends? I saw another clip where I saw hazmat going into the London airport. Have you saw that? I don't have a clip for you, but I thought that was a bit creepy. And then also, did you see Florida ended their mandates on, vaxes? Thought that was interesting. I thought I had something else here for you before I go to the questions. I do not. Or actually, I do. I was talking about new energy coming. new energy, new sources of energy and electricity that are much better for the planet and such. Somebody left this for me on the comments. Engineers at Kyoto University has developed a remarkable new way to harness renewable energy. A hydro generator no bigger than a matchbox that draws electricity straight from the air's moisture. Unlike solar or wind, this device works continuously, day and night, without needing sunlight, rivers, or moving parts. ZPT is being released as predicted. So ZPT, never heard of that. ZPT, let's type that in, ZPT. But will that be free energy? Because I see free energy coming. ZPT is a compound commonly used in dandruff shampoos. No, that can't be right. Yeah, I don't know what that is. But anyway, with that said, let me pull up some questions. Also, I have a clip to show you from 2 Tuesdays ago, because I started to do the questions on a Tuesday show, and then the show would have been more than 2 hours long, so I had to cut it all out. So I still have some of those questions. I'll play that for you in just a bit. And if you missed the interview with Freddie Puma yesterday, please do check that out. Many people did not check that out, so I'm kind of surprised by that. All right, let's get down to the questions in the... and for the future, hopefully I'll get through all these today. The letter Q with semicolon, and then the question. People that leave multiple questions or people that type their questions in all capital letters are going to be just ignored. Don't type in all caps. It's kind of obnoxious. Any earthquake in Greece next summertime is asking, Stella! Next summer, you must be going on vacation in Greece next summer there, Stella, huh? That's what my psychic intuition says, or my common sense. Why are you pushing next summer? We're only in September. We got to get through this year first, girl. Ask me when we get closer. My vibe, well, there's going to be earthquakes everywhere. They're happening everywhere. I have not looked at the astrology, the retrogrades, or anything for next year. I want to get through this year first. But my instant vibe is no. It depends when you're going. But no. And is that summer for us? Do they have the same summer as us? Yeah, I think they do. But my first instinct is no. Go on your little vacation and enjoy it. Or if you're in Greece, then no worries for the summertime. You don't have to evacuate. Although I do feel there will be the volcanic eruptions nearby, though. Especially in July of next year. Which could be little rattled earthquakes, but you're asking more of something concerning. I don't feel anything concerning. How is Italy going to go through this shift in the next 10 years? You're pushing it too, man. You don't have a name. You have a number, 6648, Rome. Oh, maybe their name's Rome. Or maybe they are in Rome because they're asking about Italy. How is Italy going to go through this shift? Well, the 10 years, we got to focus on this 7-year window of tribulation that we're in. And Italy is going to be just like lots of the world. It's going to be looking much different 10 years from now. The geographic makeup of it, it's all going to be quite different. Even like Vatican City likely isn't going to be there in the way it is now. But we're in that period of tribulation. This year, 2024, 2032, I've said this back in 2016, I put out a video about this, or 2017, I put out a video about this period of time. And now I hear it a lot of, according to you in the comments, a lot of other people are talking about that window of time. And I even asked Freddie Puma about that in my video interview yesterday, because I mentioned that to him back in 2018, that date, because I got it in meditation, and he told me he got that same time period. It's when everything's going to shift, everything's going to change. The political systems, everything. And we have to hold in the light and hold in the vibration that it's all for the better of all. Plugging into the fear, plugging into this whole craziness around, the poor incident that just took place in Utah. That's what they want. That lowers your vibration. And many people ask me all the time, how do you do what you do and see what you see and not get overwhelmed? It used to overwhelm the heck out of me when I was younger. I just developed a way of learning to unplug from it, put it out there, stay in my own vibration, and not plug into the media fear, because it's what they want, of course. And there's going to be more pow events that are going to take place, especially this month. I see another vision that just showing me. I see someone else outside. Same situation. This may be overseas in Europe, actually. Maybe even United Kingdom. I see somebody, same scenario playing out. Somebody's outside speaking. I hear 2, maybe even 3 shots. And it comes from the distance. And in this particular case, the person might actually be in a tree, not on a roof. Probably because they're looking on roofs nowadays, or they will after today. 3, and it might actually be an attack on a female, because I see an attack on a female too. These would be big influencers or political people. So I just had that vision. Will this 2025-2026 be harsh in the United States, is asking Lynn. Depends on where in the United States you are, Lynn. I expect where I am for it to be quite mild like it was last year, and even more dry, unfortunately, which could even set parts of the Southwest and even California back into that drought status. Whereas the northern parts, even Northern California on up, is going to get hit really, really hard this year. You can literally draw a line right through United States, a little bit of a wiggly line, but a line right through. And it's the bottom half of the United States that is having milder weather for the winter. More wet storms, like almost like hurricane type storms, but not snowstorms. Except when we get to parts of Pennsylvania on up. So I would expect friends in Pennsylvania to expect snow, because I know you don't get much of that anymore, especially back in Bucks County and Philadelphia areas. New York, Boston, I expect to get hit really, really hard. Boston all the way up. I mean, they should be used to that anyway, but I feel like especially hard this year. Like blizzard-like type of weather hitting Boston all the way up to Maine and even into Canada. So big areas. Toronto popped in my mind. So even though that's outside the United States, of course, but Toronto pops in my mind. So I'd say something extreme happening around there, probably blizzard-like conditions, people being locked in. So the northern parts, North Dakota, South Dakota, that whole northern part, they're gonna suffer a very, very cold, very, very wet, wintry season this year. But the lower part of the United States is going to be much more mild, more rain than anything. That's your weather forecast right here from the Love Shack Studios. Raymond in the chat room is asking, in the comments, not the chat room, excuse me, when will we transition to the digital economy? Will this begin this year? If the stock market crashes, will the ISO... anyway, we're already transitioning to digital currency. Even President Trump signed all these deals and has been mingling with the crypto people, already doing so. It's a slow move into it, but it's happening. Will they push us into it like I thought? Because I really would feel that if there's going to be an economic collapse, this year, maybe early next year would make the most sense, just because we're in that 9 vibration the whole year. But sometimes things that don't end in a 9, we get pushed out of in the 1. So even the first part of next year, first quarter, I'd say, January through the end of March, could be big potential falls in the economy. But people are going to resist this digital currency in many, many countries. But eventually they're going to force it on us. And my feeling on this is the best way that they would want to enforce it on us would be, again, through some type of other future pandemic. Making money like, oh, you don't want to touch that. You don't want to do that. And, most people already use credit cards, so we're already digital. You very rarely see people pull cash out of their wallet. Very rarely. I always keep cash in my wallet, just saying. But you rarely see it. So it's already happening, Raymond. And it's not even going to be the stock market crash that they push us into it. It's going to be other fear tactics, according to the spirits, that they will use to push us into it and push people into it. But I also see a point where there's different cryptos that crash too. I said this a while back, especially Bitcoin has been doing great, but there's a point where I feel like it drops quite significantly. That'd be a good time to go in and buy. I don't have a timeline, and I know someone's going to say when in the comments. I don't have timeline, sorry. Do not have a timeline on that. SRH Hisnum says, should we get off our meds? Pain leads panic meds. Pain meds, panic meds, meds for PTSD. I know we can't survive. You cannot give medical advice, which is correct, but I want a spiritual response. And know that you are the man, JT. Oh, thanks. Thank you. Love you lots. Some people need their meds. Some people can't survive without them. Some people would be worse without them than they would with them. So that would be a very personal spiritual choice to make. Now, after being in an automobile accident quite a long time ago, I was, as the doctor would say, medically dependent on opiates. And let me tell you, getting off those things was HE double toothpick. Like, it was just awful. But when Spirit pushed me and I, did it, made it happen. But again, people need that. People need certain things. So more than anything, I would tell you to work on your own meditation, especially folks with PTSD. There's other methods that are helping them, even, believe it or not, psilocybins. But not everybody. Everybody's different. We're all wired differently. And some of those meds work really good for people that are wired in a certain way. Whereas maybe for others, they could be damaging. But that's anything, even Tylenol or aspirin. So you would have to take that on your own, spiritual self, make your own decisions around that, and of course, with your medical provider. I just lost everything I worked for in a fire. Too late in life to rebuild. Am I supposed to still follow my passion? So I don't do personal questions. I don't know you, so I can't really tune into you through your comment. Sorry that you lost everything in a fire, but also look at it as a symbolic thing. Fire is very symbolic in clearing things. And look what happens in the forest after a big forest fire. Things actually grow back better and faster, and the forest grows back thicker. So it is a growth period. It is a time for things to, again, collapse so that we can rebuild. And again, I don't know what numbers you're in, what your astrology is, or any of that, so I really don't know, other than telling you that it is very symbolic. As part of my symbolic move across country, I literally donated 90% of everything I owned. Just called Habitat for Humanity. They came and took everything. It was hard, but it was very liberating in the end of it. So I try to take it as a liberating experience and a time and opportunity to start over, which isn't a bad thing at all. Challenge, of course, no doubt. Will there be an asteroid in 2028? And I'm not referring to Apophis. Question mark, not referring to Apophis. Well, Apophis comes Friday, April 13th, 2029. There's always asteroids in our belt. So, the answer would be yes. There's always asteroids. Is there going to be an asteroid that's going to hit the Earth? No, not at all. Meteors, yes. What was that movie? Wasn't it Greenland? I think it was Greenland. The meteors hitting the Earth, like a lot of them. There's no coincidence in that movie. That will be an incident that happens. And that was just in recent predictions where I saw meteors hitting the Earth. Not like the movie Greenland, but a lot of them hitting. And we have that, what is it called? A13, whatever, going through space right now. That's a spaceship, y'all. That is a spaceship. Probably related to the Galactic Federation. So nothing to worry about there, friends. Nothing to worry about there. Do you think Canada will break up anytime soon? Well, just like United States, and they're kind of already broken up. You're already divided and separated. There will be a split apart. Oh, I wasn't expecting that answer. But not yet. This will be years from now. Probably in the 7-year tribulation period. Or maybe as we move towards the new Earth in 2030 to 2032. I do see a split apart, but I only see a small part splitting. If I'm looking at the map, I'm looking kind of on the left side. So like the Vancouver side. And again, I'm geographically challenged with Canada, but I just know where Vancouver is. Yeah, so that's a yes, but that's down the line, no time soon. Interesting. Now, Blue Raven's asking, any ideas as to the length of time that we should have provisions in terms of food and water? Thank you for your work. Length of time. Well, I always say you should always have at least 2 weeks of food backed up just for any kind of emergency at all. But the way things are going, and we see the food systems collapsing, we see so much happening with the food. And people aren't really paying attention to this like they should be. Along with the shifts in the climate that are also causing problems with different food. We see China that's been stashing all their rice and all kinds of grains and everything else and cutting it off from the rest of the world. We see other countries doing the same thing. Hogging up all those resources for themselves, as they should be. If they're growing it, they should keep it to themselves. Give it all away like the United States does, and then when we don't have anything, we starve first. So yeah, I personally have on stock 3 months worth of food, personally. Survival food, at least 3 months worth. And I would say that that's a good place to be, because then you don't have to worry about anything. And if 3 months for yourself personally, but you're going to end up having somebody at your door. Probably a family member, somebody else is going to come along. That's why I try to tell all my family, stock up on your own damn survival food. Get your own. But you know what I like? I like because the survival foods are filled with carbs and stuff. And, when you eat them, to me, too many carbs, you're hungry 2 hours later. I like they're like coffee can size of the dry freeze meats, like the chicken, the beef. There's even freeze-dried cheese, potatoes, big cans of it. That's what I've been ordering lately now, instead of the other stuff. That's better. It's healthier anyway, because then you got all proteins, and then you can stock up on your own dried rice or whatever else you would like to have. But I'd say at least 30 days worth of food would be a safe zone to be in. Survival foods, and you can go buy pasta and jars of pasta, and again, one of those big cans of dry freeze chicken or beef to throw in with your pasta, and you're good to go. Pasta's cheap. Now, I don't like gluten-free stuff, but there is a gluten-free pasta that I get that's really good. It's like a rice pasta. That's what I prefer, because again, too much pasta, too much carbs. But that's a cheap way to go for those that can't afford it. Every week, buy an extra can of a jar of sauce at the grocery and an extra little package of pasta. It's like $5. If you get it on sale, maybe even less than $5. You can do that every week. And in quite a bit of time, within 6 months, you'll have at least a couple weeks worth of food. Without even considering it, you're just buying an extra every week. Please tell me something about Poland's future. Well, it's interesting you mentioned that. Because you remember I said years ago, when the whole Ukraine-Russia thing started, that they were going to try to pull Poland, and I don't know who they are, but I saw somebody trying to pull Poland into this conflict, and it hasn't happened. Now here we are years later, and we just see what just happened with all these drones flying over to Poland, and they're blaming Russia. My vibe is it wasn't Russia, friends. I don't believe it was necessarily NATO either. I believe that came from right inside the UKR. Probably right within Kyiv. As crazy as it may sound, I know people might not want to bite on that. And, people, you want my psychic intuition, that's what you're here for. My instant intuition was something it orchestrated. Oh, okay, so Spirit shows me a white flag flying with the word false written upon it. Flags that fly ever so falsely, friends. But the people of Poland stand up strong. And I do still see some kind of conflict taking place along the border. But it feels short-termed and short-lived. So that's good. Joseph, what are the energies causing dental issues right now? I don't know. That might be more connected to your own personal astrology, Sarah Ann, in the comments. Because I think that was weeks ago. And when did you ask this question? Yeah, you did ask this 3 weeks ago. So I think we're out of that anyway, whatever that may have been. But it could also be personal related. I know that a lot of times Mercury retrograde can bring up anything health related, including dental issues. Last time I had an infection in my tooth, it was in Mercury retrograde the beginning of this year. What was that, March, April? So Mercury retrograde can do that. Now, we were out of that last Mercury retrograde back in August. Yeah, which was about 3 weeks ago. That's when it ended, actually. So it was probably a Mercury retrograde influence or something even personal within your own chart or your own numbers. If you're in a 4-year or a 9-year, and you can look that up online, friends. Just look up numerology calculator. Fishing man is saying the civilizations that exist under the earth, under the oceans, how do they cope with earthquakes? Are they impacted? Well, those that exist underneath of us, that's a good question, actually. They are so much more evolved than we are. They have been here so much longer than we have. And a lot of it's even interdimensional. So, which means they're on a higher vibration. Kind of like Puma said in the interview yesterday. The aliens are all around us. We just don't see them because they are in a higher vibration than we are. And I've had my own experiences with them where I knew they were there, but I couldn't see them. They're in a higher vibration, not a different dimension. So some of that beneath the oceans is higher vibrational stuff. Whereas, if you went down there, you and I might not see that little civilization under the ocean. And then those that live in the earth, they've been there for a very, very long time. They know the earth way better than anybody else. So they're not affected by that. Oh, I didn't know that. I had my phone in my pocket. Oh, boy. Anyway, I try not to keep my phone close to my body. I didn't realize I threw it in my pocket, probably to come down to the Love Shack to chat with you beautiful friends today. How many more questions we got here? Do our souls have their own name? Thera. Do our souls have their own name? Our souls have their own code, says the spirits. You can call it a name if you want, but they have their own code, kind of like our DNA. So a code, which again can be aligned with a name, so we could say yes to that. But you got to remember, your soul has many names because you lived so many lifetimes. So you were somewhere else before this and before that. So we are known by so many names in the physical world, and especially in this 3-dimensional world. So the soul would be more of a code than a name. I wasn't expecting that answer from the spirits. My time now. That's their screen name. Are you saying that Nasira isn't real? And the new quantum financial system that will give back to the people all the money that the government has stolen from us in taxes? I hate to tell you, but yeah, Nasira is a fantasy dream. Now, giving us our money back, the government don't even have any money left. They're broke. How are they going to give us our money back? They're already broke. Everything needs to collapse. Now, you can call the new system in the future whatever you want, but in the new earth, that's a higher vibrational frequency. And I would imagine in that higher vibrational frequency, there's not money. There's community. There's exchange the way it used to be. People grow. I'll grow the corn, you grow the potatoes, and we'll exchange. And we live in community. We live in exchange. That is the future where all people thrive in abundance, joy, and happiness. Not a system that uses any kind of physical money. It just doesn't work. Causes, come on, we come to this earth. And then we have to pay for everything. We come to this earth for free. We're supposed to be free people, free citizens with free will. And we have to pay for everything with physical money. Yeah. It doesn't vibe with the future earth at all. Hi, Joseph. Great shows, as always, from Scotland. What do you feel about the new party? I'm not really in tune with Scotland. That has been created in the UK. Will they pose a challenge to the UK political parties? As soon as you ask that, I actually see a web that weaves together as one. So that's not really a good sign. A web that weaves together as one. So it's almost like they're uniting together. I mean, that could be a good thing too. But I just feel like there's so much political chaos happening in UK, especially Europe, all throughout Europe. But the UK, especially, we see it happening in France right now. As I told you, governments would collapse. Well, we saw the collapse of the French government just recently. I told you that Macron's going to resign. It's coming. I feel like that's going to be a ripple effect. It's going to happen all over Europe. I would expect that to happen in the United Kingdom, maybe even in Scotland. So there's still some big changes in parties that need to happen. And that's not going to play out for a few years. So you just got to hang in there. And of course, stick with the fight. Stick with the fight. And that fight is for us to have our real true freedom and free will. Someone says, I'm looking forward to map scrying for the winter. Will you be doing that in the near future? I can do that in the near future. I just haven't thought about it recently because I was traveling. And I am getting ready to travel again. But hey, that could be something I could do before I leave in October. So I have content for you. I will actually still do my show while I'm away. I believe it fits my schedule. Can a soul from a dark dimension incarnate to a human? Sure, why not? A soul's a soul. Doesn't matter what dimension it comes from. We see demons, they're souls, right? I would imagine there's some kind of soul, we could say. An energy. A soul's nothing more than a vibration. It's an energy. Everlasting, ever-living energy. So, dark soul, light soul, and I believe all souls are of light regardless. Because we're all come from light. Again, we come from light into the darkness. So if they're in the darkness, we see demons can attach or possess people. So the answer to that would be, yeah, of course they can incarnate. Because, you ever see somebody and you look in their eyes and you can just see there's darkness there? Almost like there's no soul, but there is a soul. But it feels like there's no soul. There you go. That should answer your question, sheepdog number 6. Where do people come up with your names? Do you see alien disclosure worldwide openly discussed in one of them on TV to prove that they are here? Well, they are here. An alien disclosure is already happening on many scales. It's another thing Puma talked about in the interview yesterday. They're here already. What we need to decipher is what they show on TV. I wouldn't believe, by the way. Don't believe what they put on the mass media, because mass media is there. Again, it's sorcery. It's like witchcraft there to spin a web of agendas. So I don't believe that. But yeah, of course, major disclosures coming. Not even that. Our skies are going to be filled with spaceships, real ones. And of course, the government's going to try to fake some. But they're coming. Remember last year, my predictions, Spirit said, I think it was September, I think it was. And Spirit said that our skies would become filled the end of November, December, and then we had that whole drone thing happen, and then all these spottings all over the planet. That's coming again this November. So keep your eyes to the skies. There's going to be lots of revelations with the, say, Galactic Federation and other good, positive galactic beings, because they're not alien. You're alien, so they're galactic beings. Some of them live right here on this earth. Again, in a different dimension or beneath us in the earth. That's all coming out. And it's got to be slow. It can't all come out at once. Because, these people can't handle it. Some of these people can't handle much of anything. So it's got to be slow. But our skies will be filled. And remember, I had visions of a big spaceship over cities. Big spaceship. Kind of reminded me of that movie, Independence Day. Sort of. Independence Day was an attack. They're not going to attack us. And if it appears that, then it's the agenda of the deep state. Can you end a relationship in this lifetime that will end the relationship in our following lives? I've been having an issue that is actually very painful, but I came to the decision and said that I was finished with these people in this lifetime and other lives to follow. I am immediately sense of calm, and I felt immediately a sense of calm and sadness. Happiness. Can we end a relationship in this life that ends relationships in other lives? I would say no to that, actually. We're all connected in the spirit world, all of us in some way or another. And we repeat things, and we have a soul group that we travel with through lifetime to lifetime, and we switch roles. For example, my teacher, Hannah Goodwin, rest in peace, dear Hannah, she was amazing, that taught me past life regression and hypnosis. She was talking about when she learned hypnosis, she was in an abusive marriage. And what she learned is in the past life, it was exact reversed. She was the husband abuser, and vice versa. The husband, that's the abuser in this life, was the wife. And they voluntarily switched roles. It's not a karma thing, because past life karma is simply emotions that we carry over from past lives. If we were coming into this life to fix stuff from past lives, we'd never get done. We'd never learn a darn thing. We'd be trying to fix everything from the past. We're here to learn and grow. Some people are like, well, let's switch roles and do this again in the opposite direction, and we do that. So your sense of happiness and sense of calm is ending that. You're still going to see those people in another life, or at least in the afterlife. And remember, we don't carry those emotions over from this life, so you wouldn't have the same anger. You would get over there and be like, oh, is that what that was all about? Darn, I signed up for that, didn't I? Darn. Do you see any hurricanes hitting near Yulee, Florida this year? I don't even know where the heck Yulee, Florida is. And I've been all over Florida. I've been to Florida so many times. Let's see. Yulee, Florida. There it is. Where's that at? Oh, you're near Jacksonville. Oh, you're up there. Well, as long as you're not on the coast, you're good to go. I'd say Jacksonville Beach, because you're on the East Coast, and that is what's most vulnerable to the hurricanes that are coming. But being that you're in a little bit, you're kind of a little bit lucky there. But I would expect you to get very heavy rains and some flooding, but I wouldn't worry about a direct hit from hurricane. I expect some hurricanes to start whipping up really, really soon, friends, like really, really soon. And when they do, of course, come on. I did a video about hurricanes and the names of hurricanes. I haven't really looked at any of that lately. Where was I? Joseph, can you ask Spirit if there's any nefarious reason behind the weight loss shots that have been cleared for doctors to prescribe for basically anyone who wants to take them? Actually, there's actually a set of rules for that now. You're talking about the one with the letter O. There are a set of rules, but I know of, there's some doctors. I know of one, actually. I don't know them personally. Well, I used to know them personally, but they do shady things illegally by falsing documents, medical documents, and saying that they're eligible and have diabetes or whatever, and when they're not eligible, and then charging them $400 cash. So this is a whole money thing. I wouldn't say nefarious reason behind the shot itself other than to make money. It's all to make money, friends. That's what they don't care about anything else but making money and being in a powerful position. And then when it comes to certain doctors that are being cleared for this, again, it's about the money. It's not even about helping the person. And in the next few years, it's already kind of coming out. But I feel that the truth's going to come out about that particular one medication, and it's not good. It's only good for those who really a very small class. Remember, we're all wired differently. What did I say earlier? We're all wired differently. And for some people, they're doing it for the wrong reasons. Whereas there's other people that are actually obese, and it's really helping them and changing their lives. So we have to look at it in that aspect too. But yeah, it was all about the money, of course. Yeah, she continues to say she has friends that are on these shots and have no plans of getting off them. Yeah, it's another addiction. Another addiction. When do you see the post office privatizing? I talked about that in the past. They're already kind of becoming privatized, just not in a public way. I know from here, talking to people at the post office, I found out that here in Arizona, especially I'm rural, so rural routes especially, were all bought up by outside private contractors. And apparently there's one guy that owns most of the routes here in my area, Sedona and all around this area. He owns all the routes. And basically he's paying people, and not the post office. So it's already kind of becoming privatized, just not in the public eye, unfortunately. And that's how it's going to go for a while, says the spirits. Someone is also asking, do you have any information regarding the upcoming winter in the New York City metro area? Well, I just covered that. I told you from basically Philadelphia up. So New York is going to get hit with some big, big storms. Probably the biggest storm that you've seen in quite some time because, again, you don't usually get much snow over there anymore. But yeah, hold on tight, New York. Not even that. You got some flooding coming your way in the near future, too. Big time flooding. And especially the northern parts of New York are going to get hit the hardest. Buffalo, shutdowns at the Buffalo airport, more than Buffalo normally gets. And Buffalo's used to a lot of snow, but not as much as they're going to be getting this year. I even see situations again in the north where, not necessarily New York, but the northern part of the United States, up even into Canada, where roofs are collapsing and such because of the weight of the snow and the ice on top. Poland sent drones into Russia this week. What's going to happen there with NATO? I already talked about that, so we can just kind of end it there for now. Well, beautiful friends, I very much hope that you loved hanging out in the Love Shack with me today for some tea time. Some Tuesday, well, it's not Tuesday, it's Thursday. Thirsty Thursday tea time. Are you thirsty for some tea? Thanks so much for hitting that thumbs up love button. It really helps the channel, helps get more of this kind of information and predictions on your feed from other channels. So you definitely want to hit that thumbs up button. Leave a comment below. That also helps promote the video and promote the channel as well. And if you're new here again, you want to vibe with the tribe, don't forget to smash the subscribe, the bell and all, so that you get notifications. Down below in the description, you'll see all the links to my social media. Check them out there. And if you get a message on social media from someone that appears to be me, it's probably not me. Please report those profiles immediately. You can find me directly at my website, josephtittel.com or spiritmanjt.com. Thank you to all the supporters who make this free content possible for everybody else. Till the next time, friends, remember, be bold, be true, be kind, be you. Let your light shine ever so brightly and have a beautiful, amazing rest of your day and an amazing weekend. Hang in there. We'll be out of this energy before you know it. And namaste, friends. Namaste.